Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this roadmap episode of 30 Minutes to President's Club. My name is Armand Farouk, and I'm here with my co-host, Nick Sigelski. And folks, this is probably my favorite roadmap episode ever. The book on cold calling is here, but guess what? That's not even what it's called. So, Nick, why should people listen?
All right, folks, every single quarter we do a 30 Minutes to President's Club roadmap episode. And what that means for you today is we're going to be covering three big things. Thing number one, we're going to be talking about some changes and improvements that we're making to the 30 Minutes to President's Club content stack. Two, we're going to talk a bit about the 30 Minutes to President's Club book on cold calling, which Armand has shared with you. Ain't called that anymore. And then three, we're going to be giving you a look ahead at the next quarter worth of tactic teardowns so you can plan, put things on your calendar, and get better at selling. So Armand, give me the quick hits, my friend.
Quick hits. Number one, you have new channels, new places to get more things 30 MPC. So if you want to see us do all of these weird things with our hands while we speak, you can't see that on Apple Podcasts. Go check us out on YouTube. That's number one. Number two, if you want some of our bite-sized sales tactics, our best one-liners are on Twitter. Go follow Nick and myself. Number three, if you want the highlights of all of those tweets, in addition to special behind-the-scenes looks at 30 MPC, go follow the 30 Minutes to President's Club page on Instagram. And here's a hint, folks. If you are listening to this episode and you already followed us on Instagram, you actually already know the new name of the book because we gave an early reveal away there because we polled the audience and asked them to help us pick the right name for the book. That is it for the new channels. Now, Nick, I think we have a change on the podcast that you were going to go through.
So, folks, if you've been listening for a while, you've probably heard Jen Allen serve as one of my co-hosts on the 30 Minutes to President's Club sales podcast. Jen is going to be moving on and focusing on some other things. We're still on really good terms with Jen. She was an awesome co-host of the show. We have an amazing relationship with her. And it's actually for a good reason that she's doing some other stuff. Her business is taking off, which I'm really, really proud of her for. And she's got to focus more time on that because it's a pretty big time commitment doing this, Armand. So going forward, Armand and I will be serving as the full-time hosts of the sales show. And the reason we are not immediately jumping to replace Jen as my co-host there is that was the request from the audience to have a little more Armand and Nick goodness. So that's how it's going to go going forward. Jen, if you're listening, we are so grateful for everything you've given to 30 MPC. And folks, you will still see us do some collabs with her. So don't worry, she didn't get away that easy.
And I want to triply reiterate that Jen was absolutely freaking awesome, as is Mark. And this was one of those things where she just felt busy. In no way did we not want her to host the show because she is so good. So that is completely independent from what I am about to share with you. So I like to eat my pizza, folks. I've been eating pizza for 31 years, and I'm 31 years old. And if you know the history of pizza, you know the history of Domino's Pizza. There was a day when Domino's Pizza used to go head to head with Pizza Hut and Papa John's, and it was a neck and neck race. And Domino's Pizza was coming under fire. And the reason for that is their pizza sort of sucked. And so what did they do? They improved their pizza. But a lot of people would just quietly improve their pizza. What Domino's Pizza did instead is they literally ran an entire publicity campaign that told the world how bad their pizza was before. They showed pictures of Domino's Pizza stuck to the roof of the box. They showed pictures of congealed cheese. They showed screenshots of angry reviews saying, your sauce tastes like ketchup mixed with marinara sauce. And they publicized every single one of these things. And they said, this is how we're changing every single part of our business. Lo and behold, Domino's far and above became the leader in delivery pizza services, and they blew the competition out of the water. So today, 30 Minutes to President's Club is having that Domino's Pizza turnaround moment. And I don't think we were putting up ketchup pizza sauce, but I do think that there were some things that slipped in our content. And we knew, and some really close people around us told us to fix a couple of things. For example, we kept posting the same things on LinkedIn that we were always posting in the past, thinking those would be refreshers for the audience. Number two, we tried to do more content. We did 2 webinars a month. We're doing 2 episodes per week. And what that required us to do is have twice as many guests and twice as many club members and twice as many hosts. And the reality is it becomes really freaking hard to control content quality when you're working with that many more creators. And then that clip of content started to lead to quality issues on places like the newsletter or in podcast guests, or we would oftentimes let a guest through where we're like, oh, like we really aren't sure about that episode, but we gotta publish an episode because we're doing 2 a week. And that's not fair to you all. And that was literally the reason that we stopped doing YouTube, is because we noticed that we were biting off more than you could chew. So instead, here's what we're doing, is we're going back to our original ethos, which is more content, not equal better content. The first thing we did, fired our podcast agency, who was oftentimes responsible for QAing the episodes and was letting a lot of B-tier episodes through. And instead, we partnered up with Will Aitken. Nick and I went through the entire queue of every single guest. We graded them S, A, B, C, and D. And anyone who was not S or A was immediately cut from the list. Then we rebooked all of our best guests, because people want to hear from those folks again and again and again, instead of hearing from them once a year in between 20 mediocre performances. And then from there, over the next quarter, what you will see from Nick and I are real stories from the field on LinkedIn, the most tactical newsletters that you'll see more structured newsletters where you're only getting 2 emails per week. You get a Monday content roll-up and then a Friday tactical breakdown, where the first one of the month is always about leadership. And then the last thing is, we are not going to add someone new to the club this quarter, because we love working with our many club members. But right now, we're just going to stick to the awesome crew that we have, because they know how to protect the 30 MPC show. It is back to the basics. It's back to making phenomenal content that we're proud of every single day. And that begins with this book.
Armand, before I talk about the book, I have one request of you, the listener, which is this. If you see us put out content, whether it's a podcast episode, a LinkedIn post, a newsletter, where you're like, hey, this kind of misses the mark, this isn't very good, please tell us. We want to get better. We want to deliver stuff that actually helps you make it to President's Club. And Armand and I are pretty good salespeople, and I think we've started to learn how to build a content business and build this product, but we're still learning. And you are our customer, the person listening to the show. You're the person that matters the most to us. And so we want this to serve you. So if you have content things you want to see from us, if there's things you see us putting out that aren't good, please tell us. And you can do that in a couple places. One, if you listen on Spotify, there's a feedback box that you can fill out some information on. 2, if you're on our newsletter, if you reply directly to the newsletter, Armand, it goes right to your inbox. And I know you've been personally replying to literally every message people send, because we want to listen to you, the listener. So thank you for trusting us with your time. We are not going to let you down going forward. And that, Armand, starts with the book. You and I have been working on a baby together. The last 9 months, we've been building this thing. Okay, it's not really a baby, but I'm going to say it is a baby. We've put so much of our lives into it, and it's time to give the baby a name, Armand. And for a long time, we had a very generic name, The Book on Cold Calling. And that was your idea. And I was kind of like, that's kind of a basic name, dude. But I didn't really question it, because admittedly, my head's been in a lot of different places. And we're changing the name. So talk to me about what went into this.
Well, Nick, I actually think the honors need to go to you, because while you did want to originally name the book Nick Jr., which is why I chose the Merrick name, you actually coined the term of the new name of the book.
So yeah, Armand, we went with my second choice. And in naming this book, we thought, you know, it takes a special kind of person to go pick up a book on cold calling. And the reality of cold calling is it sucks. No matter how good you get. No matter how good you get at cold calling, you are still going to encounter rude prospects, stonewalling gatekeepers, and you're going to hit endless voicemails. And most salespeople let the suck of cold calling defeat them. What they do is they pick up the phone, they start making their dials, they hit 10 voicemails in a row. On the 11th call, they get shut down by a gatekeeper. On the 12th call, they hit a voicemail. On the 13th, they get chewed out by a rude prospect. And they say, cold calling's not for me. This thing is dead. There's got to be a better way. I'm going to go focus on social selling. Maybe I just need to send twice as many emails and set the cold calling aside. They let the suck of cold calling defeat them. But I know, and you know, Armand, that cold calling works, and we got some Gong data to prove the impact of it. And the salespeople who do not let the pain and discomfort and monotony of cold calling defeat them, those are the salespeople who make it to President's Club. And what they do is every time they pick up the phone and choose to expose themselves to the suck of cold calling again, they distance themselves from the pack. They distance themselves from the salespeople who let the suck defeat them. And that's why we chose to name our book on cold calling. Cold calling sucks, and that's why it works. A step-by-step guide to calling strangers in sales.
This book will give you everything you need to navigate the crappiest parts of a cold call all the way from opener to objection. When you read most sales books, you read these 400-page exercises in sales academia that have all of the steps of a cold call or all of the steps of a discovery call out of order with random hot takes interspersed across 400 pages. And so you finish the book and you're like, well, what do I actually say now? And so in classic 30 MPC fashion, there are 4 things that we promise to you to make this the most actionable sales book you've ever read.
Right. The first one is we have every single part of a cold call that you might encounter documented with instructions for step-by-step how to navigate that part of the call with example talk tracks. So you can pick this thing up and know exactly how to get past the gatekeeper, what you say when the prospect goes, hello, what to say with examples when you get hit with objections, what to say in voicemails, step by step by step, so you can actually execute on an effective call.
Number 2, you won't just know what to say, you will know exactly how to say it. And the reason for that is there are voiceovers embedded inside of QR codes throughout the book that will help you master the tone. You will hear Nick not just explain the tailored permission opener, but talk through the tailored permission opener. You'll see him raise his hands as he shrugs as he asks for permission to proceed on a cold call. If I'm getting hit with a nasty objection, like not interested, you will literally listen to Nick and I role play not interested. So the tone sounds when you handle objections like you're Mr. Miyagi.
And then, once you know what to say and you know how to sound when you say it, we gave you examples no matter what you sell. We interviewed a ton of salespeople, and we also drew on our experience. Armand, you sold insurance for a long time. We have a background with real estate in the past. We talked about when I sold legal billing software. We give examples for when you sold Pave HR software. We pulled on all sorts of different industries and styles of cold calling to make this a book that wasn't just like, here's how I did it over here, but to give you stuff that you can apply to your sale.
And the last piece is, while we think our opinions are pretty good, we think that our logic is pretty good, the reality is there's a lot of advice out there that sounds really good, but freaking sucks in practice. And so we partnered with Gong to back the advice in data from over 300 million cold calls that were recorded on Gong. Gong analyzed millions and millions of cold calls to understand the best openers, the best way to describe the problem you solve, the top objections you're going to get. Should you leave a voicemail at all? They gave us the data-backed evidence behind the advice. And guess what, folks? They did not even pay to be in the book. We explicitly did not ask them to be sponsors in the book because we wanted them as partners in the book because we knew that their data would make the book better. And that is why they are a part of this book.
Now, Armand, I have a question for you, which is, when will the earth be blessed by our little baby Nick Jr.? I mean, sorry, cold calling sucks, and that's why it works. When will we be able to buy the book?
Well, the first thing is you're going to have a little care package for your baby. Consider this a baby shower. So today, folks, you can get your cold calling care package or your cold calling baby shower. If you go to 30mpc.com/cold call, there are 3 free resources you can get before the book drops. Number 1, you will get access to both the introduction and all of chapter 1, which covers how to open a cold call for free. Number 2, you will get the scripts and the talk tracks that will teach you how to nail the first 60 seconds. Those are the openers, the way you describe the problem you solve, and how you ask for the meeting. And then number 3, there is a third toolkit in the care package, which are 18 objection handling talk tracks and scripts for every single one of them. You get all 3 of those things as part of your cold calling care package if you sign up at 30mpc.com/cold call. It's absolutely free. And when you sign up, you'll be for early access to the book as well. From there, you have the co-main event of the evening in July. So on July 17th, we are having a live show that is a precursor to the book launch. It is How to Handle Any Objection on a Cold Call, hosted by Jason Bay, who's actually going to be interviewing Nick and myself on how to handle objections on a cold call. And why is it happening on that day? Because July 17th, pre-orders open, and that is when you can get your early copy of the book. And there will be a bonus that we will reveal then for that early copy. For the next 5 weeks after July 17th, every single Monday podcast drop in the Hall of Fame will be a cold calling focused episode. And on Fridays, we will give you an additional special 10-minute cold calling playbook episode partnered with And on Fridays, we will be dropping a 10-minute cold calling playbook every single week on 1 or 2 chapters of the book, hosted by Nick and myself. In our newsletter, every single week, we're going to be covering a couple chapters in the book. And we'll be sharing the data-backed insights inside of our newsletter as well, so you can have answers to the most burning data-backed cold calling questions that you might have. Like, is cold calling even worth it anymore? What is the most effective cold call opener backed by data? What are the most common objections that I'll get on a cold call? And should I even leave voicemails at all? You will get all of those answered over the next 5 weeks in partnership with Gong Labs. And then the main event of the evening is the second week of August. The book will go live. And where will it go live? There is another live tactic teardown where you will see a full 60-minute summary for free of the book on cold calling. Yes, Nick and I are going to do a full chapter by chapter summary of the book on cold calling for free in the second week of August. You can sign up for all of those things in the show notes. You can get your cold calling care package at 30mpc.com/cold call. And you can sign up for early access to the book on cold calling as well at 30mpc.com/book.
So Armand, you have been hard at work putting all of this content together, and there's even more. So now I'm going to briefly summarize the next quarter's live tactic teardown lineup so you all know what to expect. You already mentioned the first 2 for July and August. July, again, we're going to be doing how to handle any objection on a cold call with you, with me, and with Jay Bay. And then in August, we'll be doing a live summary of cold calling sucks, and that's why it works. Then in August, we've got another one. And you probably by this point will be done with hearing us talk about cold calling. So we're going to be doing a sell webinar on how to write the perfect cold email when giving a couple examples. And that's going to be run by Charlotte Johnson and Josh Braun, who are some of the baddest salespeople and the best cold emailers out there. In September, which is when you and I have our birthdays, Armand, we're going to be celebrating with a sell webinar on how to run executive level sales calls with the Challenger sale. And that's going to be me, Jen Allen, and Matt Dixon, who wrote the Challenger sale as well as the Jolt Effect. We had a really good Jolt Effect webinar this quarter, and so I'm really excited to have both of them back. And then we'll be rounding things out at the end of September with a leadership webinar on the ultimate 30-day SDR onboarding program. And that's going to be you and Ken Amar. You both know your stuff. We just had Ken on the show recently, and frankly, it was one of the best leadership episodes I've been a part of. It was really, really good. So we've got a great lineup. Again, links in the show notes if you want to sign up for these things now. We love seeing you all there. They're a lot of fun.
So folks, we covered a lot here. To recap, you can get early access to the book at 30mpc.com/book. You can get your cold calling care package at 30mpc.com/cold call. If you want the 5 weeks of cold calling, you will get updates on that every Monday and also get newsletters in your inbox every Friday at 30mpc.com/newsletter. For everything else we covered, Twitter, YouTube, all the other channels, go check those out in the show notes. And as a special reminder, if you are on Spotify, you can literally click on this episode, scroll down, and give us feedback on this episode or what we're doing overall. We very much appreciate it whenever you give us your honest, unfiltered feedback, and we promise it only makes the content better for you all. Or if you are on the newsletter, literally just reply to it, and I get all of those emails as well. Alrighty, folks. We are so stoked to get this book in your hands. It has been a long 9 months building this baby together. Every single morning, 4 hours a day, writing together, beating each other up in this book, and now it's getting in your hands. Peace out, folks.